Be very, very quiet. Elmer Fudd is hunting rabbits. It's the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. A Medicare podcast with soul. He knows it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. If that's not why you're here, then you might want to take this opportunity to sneak out the door and go to the proper classroom for the course that you intended to take. For the rest of us, though, we're going to learn about how Medicare can be a really beneficial period of your life. You can have really excellent health insurance protection at a very nominal, if not nominal, at a very reasonable cost. And I am just the guy to show you how to do that. Why don't you come with me over to the bookstore and take a look at the books I've written to help you accomplish this seemingly impossible task. The flagship of the fleet, as always, is Medicare for the Lazy Man 2026. That is a book that will teach you all about Medicare without overburdening you. It's not really a textbook. It's more of a bedtime story about how Medicare affects your life, how you can interact with Medicare in such a way as to have it perform circus tricks for you, for your entertainment. And eventually it will protect you from bad things that can happen as we get older, as we have more likelihood of medical tragedies occurring. Medicare provides a method by which you can at least be defended from the financial impact of those illnesses that you would likely encounter as an aging individual. And Medicare for the Lazy Man will tell you all about how to encounter Medicare, how to enroll in it, how to make sure that you avoid the errors that many people make when they enroll in Medicare. And I say in the book how to go into Medicare and squirt out the other side, and you'll be smelling like a rose and very happy that you made the decisions you made in accordance with my recommendations. Now, there are two other books I've written to help people get through this process. One is Medicare Drug Plans, a simple DIY guide. This is a very simple book with very little text, mostly pictures, screenshots from the government website, medicare.gov/plan-compare. And this website allows you to identify the very best drug plan that's available in the area where you live, and it allows you, or it teaches you how to enroll in that plan. And this is a skill that one can learn, and it'll be just like riding a tricycle, a bicycle. It's a skill that you'll use forever, and you'll never, ever lose that skill. I still ride a tricycle every bit as well as I did when I was a small child, when I can find a tricycle that's going to accommodate my current size. But with Medicare Drug Plans, a simple DIY guide, you are led by the hand into the Medicare.gov website, and you're shown how to identify the best drug plan for you and how to enroll in that plan. You're going to want to do this every year in the fall because these drug plans have a tendency to morph from whatever you wanted to purchase to something that is horrifying and frightening, and you'll want to find a replacement possibly in the fall during that AEP or open enrollment that we all hear about every year. So that's what that book is for. And then, of course, my newest, shortest, and most powerful book is called Medicare Enrollment Guide, and that will help you understand and accomplish the enrollment process in the various parts of Medicare. Some parts of it you cannot have an agent do for you. Some parts of it you must do yourself by interacting with the Social Security Administration. So I've got instructions for you as to how to get that accomplished. And then we discuss the best Medicare supplement plan to avoid or to enroll in, the Medicare Advantage plans, how to avoid all of that, and then the drug plans. We have a short discussion about that. So, Medicare Enrollment Guide. Now, you can buy all of those books on Amazon, and none of them are very expensive. But for Medicare Enrollment Guide, I would go to the magnificent website that Randy Carson created for me, medicareforthelazyman.com, and just scroll down a little bit from the landing page. You're going to see a link to the Medicare Enrollment Guide. Click on that link, and you'll have your own free copy. You don't even have to identify yourself or provide your email address. I want everybody in America to have a free copy of the Medicare Enrollment Guide. So that's the library of knowledge that's available for you at Amazon.com or free of charge at MedicareForTheLazyMan.com. Speaking of knowledge, I'd like to have Randy Carson share some of his knowledge with us, and for that reason, I'm going to invite him to join us. Good morning, Randy. How the heck are you doing today?
I am doing very well, Doug. How are you doing? Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick?
Not much better. This just surprised me when I woke up this morning. I was exhausted because I had gone through just an emotionally draining experience during one of my dreams, and I couldn't.
You ever have that happen? Oh, apparently you do.
All the time. And we were discussing this at one of our neighborhood gatherings where we imbibe cocktails liberally. And people were talking about whether or not they remembered their dreams. And I normally do for a couple of minutes and never think about them again. But this dream was exhausting, and it went on and on and on. And what it was that sounds like Andy Griffith's football soliloquy that he did back when he was a stand-up comedian in the 1940s or maybe early 50s. What it was football. And that's pretty entertaining if you can find that on the internet. In any event, I was a highly respected gentleman invented a machine and handed it to me and said, I want you to try this out because you would use it more than anybody else. And what it was an eye drop machine. And that's why I sent you that picture.
We know where that came from.
Holy crap. All I've done for 6 months is handle eye drops. I've been the eye drop wrangler for a woman who has gone blind and needs surgery and she's had 2 operations on each eye. And our days are filled with, okay, the alarm just went off, another eye drop. And
1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. Now, well, when do we need the next set?
That's exactly what every day has been.
It's really a lot of work. I have to hand it to you because you sent me, your scheme of life, your schedule, your spreadsheet. I'm telling you, that is quite the plan.
Well, there's a box full of eye drop bottles in the upper part of that picture, and then there's a row of bottles. Those are the current ones being used. And so in my dream, it was the inventor of this thing was a very demanding guy. He demands perfection in all people around him, and he doesn't settle for second best. It was Trump.
Oh, really?
He invented this thing, and he said, I want you to make sure it works right. So I'm trying it out on all of my friends, and I have these old Corvette people that I travel around the country with. And so Roy was there, and Jeff was there, and a couple other people. And I was apparently chastised severely over and over again because I was using it incorrectly. This machine that did the eye drop magic, it was something I was incapable of operating correctly. So I was getting yelled at. It was very tense. I woke up just exhausted from all this tension and effort. And so I got up and I went out to the kitchen, and there is the patient herself, who is normally standing there ready for her first set of eye drops in the morning. And she said, guess what? What? I can see. Holy shit. Really? Her vision came back to a degree that she hadn't experienced in prior days. So
that's awesome.
I'm hoping this is a permanent improvement in vision.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I hope it keeps getting better and better and better.
Well, me too. So
guess what, Doug?
Oh, we're out of time?
No. I warned you about this one.
You did. You've actually started a process of twisting my brain into a pretzel.
I have this, desire occasionally, and it's become more often to stump the insurance expert.
You've successfully done it many times, and I know it's going to happen again.
And the reason I came up with this idea was that you are nationwide. You service your customers nationwide. You're
I do.
licensed in every state of the union. So guess what I have?
Well, I'm guessing that you've got a new car for me to drive around to visit all my clients in all the states.
Well, I might have, but that's not what we're here to talk about today.
All right. All right. Well,
I have a list of the best ranked restaurants, steakhouses in particular, in the United States by state.
oh boy.
And so we've already talked about Arizona.
I'd
We've
rather
already
visit the
talked
steakhouses than visit my clients, I'll tell you right now.
We've already talked about Nebraska,
Yeah, Arizona was Durant's, Nebraska was Johnny's Cafe.
Johnny's Cafe, and
Named
now
named after your cousin Cafe.
yeah, exactly. I have a cousin named Cafe, and well, ultimately, it's not well known, but she has a restaurant back in Omaha. And, okay, so here we go. Are you ready? Illinois. We're going to do Illinois as the state today, and we're going to look for the best steakhouse as ranked by Steak Eaters Union of America. I
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
So what would be, okay, I'll give you the city.
Okay.
Okay.
Please do.
So
Please do.
let me look this up because I know it wouldn't be fair if I didn't give you some sense of
Yeah,
what
it's a
that
big
was.
state. It's a big state with a lot of towns in it, a lot of steak eaters. Well,
Yes.
while you're doing that, I will confess that I did a little research and I cracked the code. I found out who is doing the ranking on your list, and then I thought to myself, it's going to be a simple process to get the jump on Randy and identify these upcoming steakhouses, and I'll have his head spinning. I'll look like a genius. But then I thought that would take all the fun out of it, so I did not.
Well, you're
I
right
did not
about
do the
that.
research.
So, okay, I'll give you the city. It's Chicago.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I want you to tell me it's kind of a surprise because there's a huge number of well-known steakhouses in Chicago, as you
Yeah.
might imagine.
Absolutely.
But this wasn't one that I was familiar with. Maybe you would be. But so take your guess
Well,
of the best steakhouse in Chicago, and it was opened in 1989.
oh, really?
So
Well, darn it.
it's not an old school.
All right. Well, I was going to say the Chicago Chop House, except that I trotted that name out for you one other time and it didn't hit home. And that told me that it wasn't the one on your list. Also, the Chicago Chop House is an old time, old school kind of an establishment, just like Durant's is in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it's got, it's fantastic. But I've got to stop talking about a restaurant that is not the subject of our contest today, and think about something that opened in 1989. Well, Morton's is older than that. Morton's is always a favorite. Oh boy, Ruth's Chris. I think that's been around. Well, that may have started. I never heard about Ruth's Chris until I started listening to Rush Limbaugh. So that's a possibility. But it's a chain. There are Ruth's Chris everywhere, so it doesn't sound like you're talking about a chain place. There
No.
is a restaurant that I've been to called the oh boy, what is it? It's the Weber Grill Restaurant.
Nope.
And they cook steaks on Weber grills. And I never heard of such a place, but it was actually pretty good grub. That's not it. Boy. Okay, Randy, I'm going to have to give up. I'm throwing.
You're just going to
the white
have to
flag.
give up, aren't you?
Absolutely.
All right,
which is
here we
the,
go.
Best
Here we
steakhouse
go.
in Chicago?
Here's an introductory comment. A classic American steakhouse, this Chicago institution is as famous for its wedge salad, lobster bisque, chocolate cake, and crab cakes as it is for its prime cuts of steak. Gibson's Bar.
Oh boy, yes, I've heard about Gibson's, and I've never been there. And I'm guessing. Do you have an address there?
No, I don't.
Okay. I believe Gibson's is downtown, and I stopped working downtown regularly. Oh, I stopped in the 80s, and I went back to working downtown in the 90s for a couple of years, and then stopped again. So I've just never had the opportunity to go to Gibson. So I'm
These
missing
people
out
must
apparently.
these people must really have it together to be at the top of the state.
Yeah, well, it is a
That's
state that's known for its butchery.
So it's 1989. I mean, they must have really been going some to
Well,
be
they
on the
had,
top of this list over and above all the other Ruth Chris, Chop
yeah,
Out, all of. I mean, they've been around for a long time.
absolutely, and they perfected their art. And this newcomer has just horned right in and shoved them out of the way and taken over.
That's right. So next time you're anywhere close to Chicago, pull out your phone and figure out where Gibson's is.
Well, I'll be doing that later on after we finish our recording session today.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry I can't give you the points.
I'm not going to take the points. I'm not going to be upset about that because I didn't earn them. But I'm disappointed that some of the other wonderful old Chicago steakhouses that I've used to love and used to visit are not on that list. So it seems to me they can make an exception for a place like Chicago and have several instead of just one.
That would make my life a lot more difficult, Doug.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to do that. Let me make your life difficult in other ways by actually showing everybody some Medicare knowledge.
All right, let's go for it.
And I've made my life difficult by starting my timer 1 minute and 18 seconds ago. So I don't know how late I am to the party, but I'm guessing you're going to have to tell me when we're slopping over time.
We have 13 minutes and 20 seconds left.
Okay, because there's a point at which even Stalker Susie is going to get sick and tired of listening to an episode that's too long. So I want to make sure that I make the most of our learning experience here. And I am going to share a little bit of knowledge about Medicare Advantage that you may not have known. I got that from Bill O'Reilly. And we're going to say that alleged overpayments to Medicare Advantage plans cost seniors billions, according to an investigation. Now, we touched on this subject a while ago, but this is a more succinct version of this report. A new report released by the bipartisan Senate Joint Economic Committee on Tuesday, this is early in March, found that overpaying for Medicare Advantage plans caused Medicare Part B premiums to rise across the board. And just as an aside, those premiums this year are $202.90. They wouldn't be nearly that high if this report is accurate, except for the overpayments to Medicare Advantage plans. According to the report, overpayments to Medicare Advantage plans caused standard monthly Medicare Part B premiums to go from $185 last year to $203 this year. The report defined overpayments as the difference between what the federal government paid for Medicare Advantage plans versus what they had to pay for traditional Medicare plans. When payments to Medicare Advantage plans exceeds those for traditional Medicare plans, the payments go up for both groups. In 2025, Medicare Advantage plans were paid $84 billion more than it would have cost to cover the same amount of participants, with traditional Medicare, an average of 120% more. Medicare Part B covers medically necessary services like doctors' visits, supplies, outpatient prescriptions, as well as preventive services, some outpatient prescriptions, not many really. Roughly 63 million people are enrolled in Medicare Part B, and a little more than half of them are on Medicare Advantage, which combines both Parts A and B. Actually, what it does is replaces Parts A and B. If you've got a Medicare Advantage plan, you don't have Medicare Parts A and B. They're sitting off to the side, dormant, waiting for you to return. Back to the article. The organization further noted that the burden of Medicare Advantage overpayments are spread unevenly across the country, as some districts and states have lower rates of Medicare Advantage enrollment. The reports gave an example of Wyoming, where only 21% of Medicare participants are enrolled in Medicare Advantage, estimating that insurance companies in the state will pay $25.4 million in excess premiums, with most of that from traditional Medicare enrollees. Let's be honest about the math. When Medicare Advantage is overpaid, that money doesn't just disappear. It shows up in the Medicare Part B premiums that seniors pay every month, including those paid by traditional Medicare participants who are not getting extra benefits. Now, this is from David Schweikert, who is he was on that committee, and he is an Arizona congressman. And I believe he's going to be running for the Senate in the next election. At least that's the talk I've heard around Arizona. If Congress is serious about affordability, fiscal responsibility, and fairness, we must take a hard look at Medicare Advantage and make sure the rules are the same for everyone, he continued. Today, aggressive upcoding, questionable quality bonuses, and structural overpayments in Medicare Advantage, seniors who stay in traditional Medicare are effectively subsidizing the system. That's not sustainable, it's not fair, and it can be reformed. Now, this is from David Schweikert, who I suggest is, I say any Republican is better than no Republican, but he's the guy who a few months ago we had to announce came up with the idea of forcing everybody turning age 65 to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan by default, and they would have to take action to remove themselves from that horrible nightmare. And Randy's is pontificating now. He's sharing his opinion, and I'm going to keep that to myself because this is a family podcast. But I will say that the Schweikert guy was quoted as having had that idea. Let's enroll everybody in a Medicare Advantage plan by default unless they opt out into a Medicare regular Medicare with a Medicare supplement. That may be the worst idea. That's like saying everybody who enters puberty, let's throw them in juvenile detention because they're probably at least thinking about committing some sort of, petty theft or some sort of crime. And we might as well just get the jump on them and throw them all in jail at the outset of their lives, and that'll teach them a lesson. Well, that's the same kind of result would happen if they follow this guy's Medicare Advantage advice. I'm hoping against hope that he has seen the light, or at least his silly idea will not actually make it into the public domain. And I wanted to spend a large part of the rest of this episode talking about how we might improve our Medicare costs. There are ways to do that I'm afraid a lot of people aren't even pursuing. For many, many years, people entering Medicare had an opportunity to get a high deductible plan that was very reasonably priced, but there was no real strong reason for them to do that. Nobody bought the plan because Plan F, the plan that covered every possible Medicare expense one might have, was so reasonably priced almost everywhere in the nation. 2020 was the year that all turned around. People entering Medicare starting in 2020 found that Plan F was off limits. And the people who had Plan F were all born before 1955, and nobody born in 55 or later was eligible to have Plan F. And Plan F was basically frozen in time. It has a bunch of people that are enrolled in Plan F in every state of the union, and that premium cost for Plan F keeps rising higher and higher and higher. Now, I spend a lot of my time talking about Plan G. The premiums on Plan G are going up as well, but those people in Plan F are really, they're not taking advantage of the opportunity to reduce their expenditure. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what can happen with the people who are able to enroll or actually improve their financial position with respect to Medicare, but they aren't doing it for one reason or another. Either they're not aware that it can be done, or they don't know how to do it. So I've got an article here that says CBS News, Medigap premiums leap and consumers have few alternatives. And this is a fairly recent article. And it says, after decades of selling insurance, Illinois-based broker John Jaggi. Now, I've never heard of this guy, but I don't know every insurance broker in Illinois. So he says he'd never seen anything like this. More than 80 of his customers who were enrolled in the same Medicare supplement plan from the insurance company Chubb, which I have contracted with. It's on my list of companies that I contract with. They got hit with his 80 clients with Chubb, got hit last August with a 45% increase. And he goes on to say, in my 49 years of doing biz, B-I-Z, that's the way he spells it, my 49 years of doing biz as a broker, I've never seen a premium increase be effective immediately on everyone instead of on their policy anniversaries. So his brokerage firm scrambled to find more affordable options for clients. For policies, they picked up deductibles and other costs not covered in traditional Medicare. And without one, there is no upward limit on how much a customer might, or a consumer might owe each year. That means Medicare supplement limits your exposure to cost sharing for Medicare or medical expenses. Well, 45% was an unusually big premium increase. Other brokers say double-digit premium increases for Medicare supplements or Medigap policies are becoming the norm. A Chubb spokesperson did not respond to requests for comment on their increase. More than 12 million people, about 43% of those in Medicare, buy a Medigap policy. Others rely on some sort of retiree employer coverage or a different backup. And about 13% of people in traditional Medicare do not have supplemental coverage. In the supplemental market, following big increases last year, rates appear to be rising again in the early 2026 filings with state insurance commissioners from Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Humana, Mutual of Omaha, United Healthcare. Rate increases for Plan G, which is the most commonly purchased Medicare supplement, ranged from just over 12% to more than 26%. And I have illustrated many times on this podcast that Plan G premium increases are going to be large and they're going to be frequent. And I always point out that high deductible Plan G premium increases are going to be small and they're going to be less frequent. While this is a small data set across a select number of states, it's an indication that insurance companies are looking to correct their premium rates in the light of upward pressure on their claims experience. Now, that's an actuary talking there. Premium rates vary based on the type of coverage chosen, where a person lives, and what their age is. For Plan G coverage, participants paid an average monthly premium of $164 3 years ago. In some states like Ohio, Medicare supplements for years would have a 3 to 5% year-over-year increase. Now it is 10 to 15%. Let's see, here's an example. A 65-year-old woman who last year would have been charged $172 a month for a Plan G would now face a monthly rate of $192, says an Alaska insurance broker. This article goes on to describe the misery that people feel as their premiums are increasing dramatically, and nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. And it's a result of general medical inflation and utilization. I think we mentioned before that a lot of people are using the excuse that during COVID, people put off their voluntary or their procedures that could be avoided, and they chose not to do things like joint replacements and things like that, waiting for COVID to end. And now apparently there's still a rush on of people doing that sort of surgeries. These are types of procedures that are more able to be done, put off and then done when it's more convenient or more advantageous for the person having the procedure performed. So let's see here. At the end of this article is what I really disagree with. Another option mentioned by brokers for people looking to lower their costs is to consider one of two types of Medicare supplement plans that comes with a deductible. That deductible is currently just under $3,000 a year. These plans charge far lower monthly premiums than the Medigap plans that pick up a much larger portion of the annual amounts that people must pay towards their services. Still, a lot of people are not comfortable with a $3,000 deductible. That's how this article ends. It's $2,950, $2,950 is the deductible on the Medicare supplement. What this statement ignores, what it completely ignores, and this is vitally important to understand, is that you may have a deductible of $2,950 if you buy the plan I recommend, high deductible Plan G, but Medicare's paying 80% of your expenses. So that deductible that we just mentioned only applies to 20% of your medical expenses, because at the beginning of the year, you've got a deductible across the board of $283. And once you've met that $283, Medicare steps in and starts paying 80%. So you don't have a $2,950 deductible. Really, that deductible is more like 20% of a much larger number. So in this same vein, the same subject, I've got two clients. One of my clients is a gentleman from South Carolina. And he's been my client since, I think, 2021. And he sent me an email very recently and said, enough. I can't stand it anymore. I'm horrified by what's going on with my Humana Medicare supplement, Plan G. And he said, I want to change to high deductible Plan G. I know that's all you yak about, Jones, and I'm finally going to surrender, and I want you to put me in high deductible Plan G. Will I benefit? Will I see relief from the increases? In fact, what his Humana plan had gone up to was $252 a month. I think it started out at $113 a month back in 2021. And so I said, let me throw some numbers together for you. And I did. And I have a comparison page in my quote packet that compares the plan that they have now, which should be a Humana Plan G with $252 monthly premium, as opposed to what I recommend, which in this case was a high deductible Plan G from Mutual of Omaha at $45 a month. And I said, parenthetically or hypothetically, what if he takes the difference between $252 and $45 and puts that in his underwear drawer and hangs on to it until he needs it to defray his cost sharing if he has a year of very high medical expenses. And so the way I lay it out is I show what his savings would be if he has no medical expenses during a given year. So if he has a best case year of no medical expenses, he's going to have, he would have had to pay over $3,000 for his old plan. He now only has to pay $540 for his new plan, and his savings would be $2,500. I'm using round numbers here. Now, let's suppose that he has a worst case year of really massive medical expenses. So he's going to max out on the cost sharing. His plan is going to go into 100% territory because he will have used all of the 20% cost sharing that could be used under his plan. Well, he's still saving that $2,500 a year. When he applies that to his cost sharing in a bad year, he's only got to write a check for $183. Now, that's the price he pays for changing to high deductible Plan G would be the risk of $183. What's happened to the rest of that $2,950 is it's gone into his underwear drawer, and he has tapped into that when it's necessary to defray his cost-sharing expense. My question to him and to everyone is, isn't that money better off in your possession rather than in the possession discretion of the insurance company. Do you really want to pay $250 a month all year long with the possibility that nothing is going to happen bad to you? Or would you rather pay $45 a month all year long and put the savings in your pocket until you might or might not need them? And then you can pull out the amount of savings that you need. And the worst possible scenario under these circumstances would be an additional $183 that you might have to dredge up out of your checking account in order to pay for all of your cost sharing. So that is what was this gentleman in South Carolina. That's what he's doing right now. We're moving him to that other plan. And then I've got a woman who is a friend of a friend. And I was told that she was going to be contacting me. She had Plan F from the get-go. She is now 82 years old. She got Plan F when she was first eligible, and she has Plan F at currently going to $380 a month is her Plan F. She lives in Kansas City. And so applying the same calculations to her situation, her Plan F as compared to my recommended high deductible Plan G for a female non-smoker in Kansas City, it's going to go from $380 a month to $77 a month. She's going to save over $300 every month. Now, that's a $924 annual premium on the new plan. Her old plan would have cost her $4,560. So if you take the $4,560 and subtract the new plan at $924, she has an annual savings of $3,600 and some dollars. So if she's going to save $3,600 and some dollars, and let's say that she has a bad year, her worst case scenario, she's going to have the cost sharing premium or cost sharing. I've got somebody knocking on the door. She's got going to have the cost sharing in the neighborhood of $2,950, which is less than her savings. It doesn't matter whether she has a good year, a best case scenario, or a bad year of massive medical expenses. She's going to be money ahead no matter what. In this case, in her worst case scenario, she's going to still be $686, almost $700 ahead, even if she has huge medical expenses. That's just the way Medicare works, and that's why high deductible Plan G is a salvation for a lot of people. Lowering the cost in this case from $380 to $77 a month, and giving the opportunity to sock away $3,600, and in fact, even in a bad year, still being able to sock away almost $700. That's like a godsend. And I'm here to deliver that godsend to anybody who cares to explore the idea of saving money and maybe, coming out smelling like a rose. That's what I try to do for people. I'm guessing by my retarded time reading here that we have extended ourselves into the nether regions of the episode lengthy.
We are up into the upper atmosphere of the Nosebleed Mountains.
Yeah, well, that's not where I want to be. So perhaps you should take over and steer us back into the realm.
I will bring us down to where we can breathe again.
That would be wonderful.
Folks, grab your pencils. I'm going to give you an email address that's going to be critically important to you, perhaps. dbj@mlmmailbag.com. That's where you can reach out and communicate and answer questions and what have you with Doug. Number one on our list is Doug is licensed in every state of the union, which is why I am abusing him with trying to remember the best steak restaurant in every state, because he does business in every state of the union because he's licensed. I just want you to remember that. Medicare for the lazy man.
I'm a big fan of dead cows, too.
Well, true. I always have been myself. Dead cows are where it's at.
That's one thing we bonded over.
MedicareForTheLazyMan.com. That's where the website's at. We kind of like that thing. We're kind of proud of that. We would also appreciate it if you would drop some reviews on the content. We're certainly not coming down to the end of the year, but we want to stay well ahead of the travelogue people. Last but certainly not least, thank you for joining us again. We always want you with us. That's exactly where we love to have you. You have just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance guy, originally from Oklahoma. No more. He lives in the Nosebleed Mountains behind Cave Creek, Arizona, and he is so high today, I'm not even going to quote a figure.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you something. I'm enjoying life. So being high has its advantages, but actually being with you, ladies and gentlemen, has its advantages as well. And I really hope that you come back and join us for the next episode. We're going to be recording it very soon, and we'll be presenting it to you in all of its glory in a very short period of time. So until then, bye-bye.